If you ask a disagreeable person what he wants or what she wants, they will tell you right away. They know. They say, this is what I want, and this is exactly how I am going to get it. They are like a missile locked onto a target. But if you ask a nice guy, if you ask an agreeable person, especially if they are really agreeable, they often don't even know what they want. They are so accustomed to living for other people. They are so used to finding out what other people want and trying to make them comfortable, trying to smooth the waters, that it becomes harder and harder for them to find a sense of their own desires as they move through life. You might think that being nice is a virtue. You might think that being agreeable makes you a good person. But let me tell you the brutal truth. If you are too agreeable, you are not being good. You are lining up to be exploited. And that is why nice guys finish last. It is not just a cliche. It is a psychological reality. Being agreeable is certainly not advantageous if you're going to try to forge yourself a career. That just doesn't work at all. The world is a trading game. And if you don't know how to trade, if you don't know how to bargain, you are going to lose. Let's imagine we are playing a repeated trading game. Life is essentially a series of negotiations. If you are very agreeable, you are going to bargain harder on my behalf than you are going to bargain on your own behalf. You are going to say, oh, don't worry about me, I just want you to be happy. Whereas if you are disagreeable, you are going to do the reverse. You're going to think, I am in this trading game for me. I am going to take care of my own interests. Now, you might say, well, isn't that selfish? Maybe. But if you are too nice, you become a doormat. You become resentful, and resentment is the path to hell. One of the things you have to be careful of if you are agreeable is not to be exploited, because you will be exploited. You're wired to be exploited by infants. That is the evolutionary root of agreeableness, compassion for the helpless. But the adult world is not full of helpless infants. It is full of predators. And if you treat a predator like an infant, you are going to get eaten. I see this all the time in psychotherapy. People come to me because they are depressed, anxious, or lost. But often, the root cause is that they are too agreeable. They have never learned to say no. So what do they need? They need assertiveness, training. Although it is not exactly assertiveness that is being trained, what it is the ability to learn how to negotiate on your own behalf. It is the ability to discover your inner monster. And this is where it gets uncomfortable for the nice guys. I tell agreeable people, especially if they are conscientious, say what you think. Tell the truth about what you think. There are going to be things inside your head that you think are nasty, things that are harsh, things that are judgmental. And you know what? They probably are nasty and harsh, but they're also probably true. You need to bring those thoughts up to the forefront and deliver the message. You need to stop hiding behind a mask of politeness. It is not straightforward at all, because agreeable people hate conflict. They are terrified of it. They want to smooth the water. They want peace at any cost, and we can see why. You don't want conflict around infants. It is too dangerous. You don't want fights to break out in the nursery, but the workplace is not a nursery. The marketplace is not a nursery. If you avoid conflict to keep the peace in the short term, you are sacrificing the long term. A lot of times, there are things you have to talk about. There are elephants in the room, and they're not going to go away just because you smile and pretend they are not there. It takes a lot of conflict to solve problems. Real problems require real friction. If you let things slide, if you let people step on you because you want to be nice, the resentment builds up. It spirals, and eventually the water isn't smooth anymore. It's a tsunami. This is why you need to integrate your shadow. You need to develop the capacity for aggression. Look at the people who are successful. Look at the people who get things done. They're often disagreeable. They're forward-moving in their nature. They're difficult to stop. They don't let much get in their way. Now, there is a danger here. If you are too disagreeable, If you are purely predatory, society will reject you. If you don't get a disagreeable child successfully domesticated and tamed by the time they are 4, their peers will reject them. And that is a catastrophe. Your job as a parent is to make your child socially desirable by the age of 4. You want them to be able to play. You want them to be able to share, but you don't want them to be weak. If you have a child who is a little monster and you don't discipline them, they will experience nothing but rejection. Every face they see will be hostile. That creates an antisocial person. But what happens to the nice guy? The nice guy is a child who was perhaps too socialized, who was taught that aggression is bad, who was taught that standing up for yourself is mean. You need to find the balance. You need to be a monster, and then you need to control it. There's an old saying, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. The nice guy is a gardener in a war. He has no sword. He has no shield. He only has flowers, and he gets slaughtered. You need to develop the skills of the enemy. If you are an agreeable person, you need to study the disagreeable people. Watch them. See how they negotiate. See how they state their needs without apologizing. See how they are willing to walk away from a bad deal. It is useful to investigate the viewpoints of people who have opposing views to yours, because not only will they tell you things you don't know, they will tell you how to see the world in ways that you don't see it. They have a toolkit that you lack. If you are introverted, watch the extroverts. If you are agreeable, watch the disagreeable. One of the most promising treatments for people who are too nice is to get them to do something for themselves once a day. Just one thing. And see what happens. The world won't end. People won't hate you. In fact, they might start respecting you. You might have a dormant circuit of aggression inside you. You probably do. We all have a wide range of propensities within us. Some are switched on, some are switched off. But if you put yourself in the right situation, if you walk yourself through the right exercises, you can switch these things on. You can wake up the circuit. You can wake up the warrior, but it takes work. It takes dedication and discipline. You shouldn't work at cross purposes to your temperament. If you are naturally soft, you won't become a tyrant overnight, and you shouldn't try to be. But you need to expand your range. You need to learn how to be disagreeable so that people cannot push you around. If you are harmless, you are not virtuous. You are just harmless. A rabbit is not virtuous because it doesn't eat the wolf. A rabbit is just weak. A wolf who has the power to kill but chooses not to. That is virtue. That is meekness in the biblical sense. Meekness is not weakness. Meekness is power under control. So stop trying to be the rabbit. Stop trying to be the nice guy who finishes last. Start scheduling your life. Get out the Google Calendar. If you are unconscientious, beat yourself on the back of the head with a stick until you are disciplined enough to stick to something. Stop living in squalor. And when it comes to relationships, this is crucial. Do not choose a partner who is exactly the same as you. If you are agreeable and you marry someone who is also hyper agreeable, you will both just drift. You will never make a hard decision. You will never fight, but you will also never solve anything. But if you're agreeable and you marry someone disagreeable, you have to be careful. They might run over you unless you learn to stand up, unless you learn to negotiate. It is hard for an orderly person and a disorderly person to coexist. They drive each other nuts. Why don't you pick up? Why are you so obsessed by it? But that friction is where the growth is. That negotiation is where the wisdom arises. You need to bridge the gap. You need to learn the language of the other side. If you are too conscientious, learn to relax. If you are too agreeable, learn to fight. The reason nice guys finish last is that they are waiting for the world to give them what they deserve just because they are good. But the world doesn't work that way. The world gives you what you fight for. The world gives you what you negotiate for. So, here is your challenge. Stop apologizing for existing. Stop smoothing the waters when they need to be churned. Find that part of you that is selfish, that is ambitious, that is hungry, and let it breathe. Don't be evil. Don't be cruel, but be formidable. Be a force to be reckoned with. Be someone who can say no and mean it. When you do that, you stop being a nice guy and you start being a man. And men don't finish last. Men finish where they decide to finish. Wake up. The trading game is on, and it is time for you to start bargaining for yourself.